Accountability. Hello. It's your boy Ambazador again doing his thing. I just had to jump by. I mean, like, it's been a number of days since Kao Denero put out his track Accountability. It's a 4 minute 44-second track. I feel like this is one of those tracks here which is like indicated. I mean, everybody is just indicating their sense of direction and their lane. Recently, I just did something from Fouls, which was the track which he was talking about the whole SARS thing. He titled it Johnny. Now, Kao Denero immediately has put out something Accountability, which, as I said, for me, this is an indication of sustainability in his career. I personally feel like in the short term, the artists will have the club bangers, the commercial tracks will blow up. But when it's all said and done, Bob Marley lived this long and Fela lived this long because of the engaging songs they did. They were connected with the people to another level, much more than just the I have money, pretty girls around me, fancy cars. It's good, those things are good for a while, but it's very, very short term. And when you limit your career just to that, you tie your career just to that, then as those things fade away in our minds, that's how your career is going to fade away. I mean, things like, I tell people, if you sing about iPhone 10, in a matter of months it's iPhone 12. So why should that song be relevant to me? If you sing about some of these social ills, be it racism, poverty, hunger, those things have been plaguing humanity from the days of Moses till today. It has a way of just changing its face, but human beings just have that issue of trying to becoming greedy from time to time, let me put it that way. So it's a nice track. I like the beat because I always say on engaging tracks we want a beat that has, in the studio we say, has space where you could fully express yourself, a beat which is not too congested with lots of drums and instruments, a beat that has space. Is that like just some simple guitar thing or some easy drums where you could express yourself a lot? So this is one of those beats which is very lots of space, spacious beat, so Kao Denero could speak his mind, and this was the song we wanted to speak his mind. He had a very strong message as usual. Kao Denero is engaging. After Lumumba, this is another engaging track he's putting out there. And for some reason, okay, I can recall I Am Sierra Leone, which was the beef track. You know, I'm a fan of beef, but I remember the engaging tracks more. I'm not necessarily saying that I enjoy the other tracks which he has put out, which I vibe to it. But when it's all said and done, the engaging tracks, their titles, and what he said in those tracks stick more in my mind for some reason. Maybe it's just me, but I don't know though. He started off with a monologue. There was this interesting monologue he opened the song with, where he said the person was speaking against corruption. I'm not too sure who that is. The voice sounds familiar, but I'm not too sure. Speaking against corruption, saying corruption comes from the back, but we have to fight it and things like that. And we all know these things. I mean, I always say, like, it's so funny when you travel around Africa or you listen to other Africans speak and you're like, whoa. It's like, but then you understand that when we're in each country in Africa, we feel like we're alone, and that's a strategy put in place. Those imaginary lines that were drawn were just to make us feel weaker and that we are alone. But if we know that we are together, then we could fight our common enemy together, and we'll definitely defeat our enemy sooner than later. So corruption is one of those enemies which it's so common in all of Africa. When you listen to the various things he's talking about, he was speaking in, I think this is clearer pidgin than some of the pidgin I've heard him speak, and I could understand most of the things, if not all, and it's so similar to Cameroonian pidgin. Yeah. So he mentioned things like first he started by personifying corruption, where he said if you fight corruption, corruption will fight back. Selfish people no go like that. So if you know what he's talking about, it's like when you try to speak against corruption, they'll find a way of framing you or saying, look who is talking, or things like that. But it's a risk you just have to take. Yeah. I mean, even if you are corrupt, you can still decide to repent and then fight against the corruption. For me, I feel like once you take those things, you know what's coming with the territory. You know you get backlash. You know they'll try to set you up. You know they're going to do PR and negative press things against you. But it's a risk you just have to take. And I also like the fact that he touched what I call the pillars of sustainability: education, food security, and health. So he mentioned them in passing by just demonstrating situations, but that was the aim, where he said belle woman did die anytime she go born. That's just demonstrating the weakness of our health system. And later on, he even mentioned the fact that these top politicians go for checkups in the UK, in the US regularly. But what happens to the common man who voted for you but cannot pay the flight to the UK and the US? That means they are condemned here. They're just bound to die in this situation. We've had those cases. I don't want to start listing cases in Cameroon where people die out of carelessness. Woman comes to put to bed, she dies in front of them. I mean, crazy things. I don't want to think about them here. And then so he said belle woman dey die anytime she go born, while the rest of us dey starve. So he mentioned another case where he said the politician is living in luxury, affluence, and then the rest of us are starving. Yeah, so that's a situation where it's just demonstrating the issue of food security. And you ask yourself, like, does this guy need to live in so much affluence and borderline megalomania kind of tendencies for him to feel happy? I mean, you don't need to throw 10 baskets of food when you can eat just one just to feel happy. That is a sick way of looking at life, but it is what it is. It happens here. And then he said that most of us is starved and we cannot even pay our rent. Those are those things. Yeah, I mean, like, you see people die for very basic things, and I mean, I just don't understand. Yeah, but I say some of those things, till you are in that shoe or in that position, can you understand? But till then, we just have to use empathy and then make it the better judgment. Yeah. And then he went on to say the rich, no tribal support, now real nonsense. So I think that's one of the things that also makes us weak, apart from the imaginary lines which have been drawn around Africa. Tribalism, it kills us like crazy. I mean, you see it every time. Here in Cameroon, we have English, French against French, this tribe against that tribe. If it's not religion that is dividing us, it's culture. Which of those things is supposed to be our strength, yeah? But now it's a cause of weakness because of the way the point of view which we come at it. I tell people, like, the English speaking Cameroonians would have had a better case if they were like, we the English people are not happy with the bad system. But when it makes it sound like we the English people are against the French people, then the French people cannot support you, even those who are not happy with the system, because the core things you are fighting against the French issue is the system. Anyway, let me not go into Cameroon politics here. But so back to the point. He also mentioned the issue of the educational system, where he said if the president said the country will be stable. If the country was stable, they'll be able to pay teachers. That's the educational system. It's crazy. Normally, people like doctors and teachers should be the most valued in our societies, but it's the reverse here. Teachers are paid the worst. At times they go without salaries. At times they have to protest before they get their dues. And then you see politicians where if it comes in terms of real value, you ask yourself, like, what are these people really doing in the society? What is their value? What is value they're actually creating, if not more problems? But now they get all the best remuneration. Just their bonuses or things is more than teacher salaries maybe for a year or so in certain cases, and you're like, what's happening in this world? What is the paradox of value? I mean, gold is more expensive than water, so it is what it is. And then he went on to say go for medical treatment like in the UK, like monthly. He went on to ask people to put their country before any color. So normally I think he was talking about like that times that these flags and parties, political parties have various flags, and people tend to have stronger affinity to these flags than the country itself, forgetting that it is you are using that party to fight for the country. So when you put that party in front of the country, then something is missing here. It's yeah, we've missed the whole point. And then he went on to say, sadly, he's speaking from a patriotic place, and if anybody is patriotic enough, they will understand this message. All of the things he was talking about from the youth, he even said politicians, they will send children of the poor to go and protest, meanwhile they are sitting in their house comfortably getting their breakfast with their own kids, if they have not sent the kids abroad for better education. And you ask yourself, like, who should be dying here? This poor youth, it's so unfair, but that's what happens in Africa. Like, this youth, his parents were poor, he was born into poverty, he has not had no good time in his life, then he ends up dying too young, too soon, all his dreams. What is happening here? And then maybe he has left some children behind, and then his parents now have to take care of these children again in that cycle of poverty, and you're like, I mean, it's crazy. So you ask yourself, normally it should be the politician who has stolen the money and created the problem, whose children should be protesting and then dying for the money which their parents have stolen, or at least the politician should be dying. But They don't die, they fly out immediately the problem starts, and then you sit and fight, and then when you are done fighting and dying, they come back now, and then their children become presidents too, like we have seen in a couple of African countries. And you ask yourself, what are you dying for? Next thing, I really like the concluding line. I think that was a monologue again, and if that voice sounded like Tupac, I don't think I can get that wrong. That sounded like Pac. It sounded like an interview where he was saying that, and Pac had those very, that's why I said, man, my all-time best now till tomorrow, we have in any order Tupac, Bob Marley. Then now the new schools can play in here and there, but Tupac, Bob Marley all time. And I think that's Kao Denero's best too. He has listed them. I remember one list he did to Chakara TV, he mentioned Tupac and Bob Marley in some part of his interview, and that's why I was just like, this is my guy. We come from the same cloth. Yeah. So the Pac monologue where he said, why do people need so much? Why do you need to amass so much wealth? That was what I was talking about, where he said, do you need to keep many houses? You are just one person, you can only live in one house. Why do you need so many houses? And if you have just 2 kids, why do you need like 30 rooms in the house? Why not just have 2 rooms? I mean, that's just basic, it's just a basic sense. So, well, this is one of those songs that just get you thinking about all the problems in Africa again. And as I said, every situation, from the politicians running away with money, we have had cases like that in Nigeria where animals swallowed money. Was it a snake or was it a monkey? We have had cases where somebody has to justify billions and then he has to collapse or something. In Cameroon, we have had money for football players disappear on a plane. We don't know if the money flew out through the window or the engine somehow, you got lost in the engine. I don't know. But all of those things that happen in Africa, you are like, what is wrong with Africa? But I like the fact that this generation is waking up from a lot of things we are seeing now. And for me, as I said, the wake up does not start from the physical, it starts from the mental. And songs like this can really help us to wake up mentally. Once we change mentally, the rest will follow. It's your boy Ambassador again doing his thing. I'm out.